Good morning, everyone. Apopka High School welcomes you to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for Game 15 of the 12th Annual Earl Graham Metro vs. Florida Challenge, the event that stakes the reputation of the Orlando Metro Conference against some of the best teams in the greater Central Florida area. This morning, we welcome as our guests wearing the blue jerseys, visitors on the scoreboard from Trinity Prep School. They are the Saints. And wearing the white jerseys, home on the scoreboard from Lake Buena Vista High School, please welcome the Vipers. Let's meet the teams, beginning with our guests from Trinity Prep, and starting at forward with 6'7" senior, number 0, Josh Cooper. At guard, 6' sophomore, number 3, Demarius Williams. At guard, 6' junior, number 10, Adrian Quiros. At guard, 6'1" sophomore, number 22, David Hall. And finally for the Saints at forward, 6'3" sophomore, number 24, Maven Hatchett. The Saints are coached by Mr. Eric Schneider in his first year at the helm of TPS. And now let's meet the Lake Buena Vista Vipers, starting at shooting guard and small forward with 6' senior, number 11, Leonardo De La Nuez. At guard, 5'11" junior, number 23, Fabian Joseph. At center and power forward, 6'6" senior, number 33, Alewis Soto. At guard, 6'2" senior, number 34, Samuel Gilles. And finally, for the Vipers, at forward, 6'5" senior, number 44, DeJon Sayers. The head coach of the Vipers in his second year, all 2 years, at the helm of Lake Buena Vista, Mr. Gerald Scott. The officials for this morning's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. This game, like all 28 games in the Earl Graham Metro vs. Florida Challenge, presented by St. Germain Chiropractic and BurnFat Orlando, is being live streamed on varsitysportsnetwork.org, as well as the VSN app on your favorite Apple TV, Roku, or Fire Stick device. If you have friends or family back down in Lake Buena Vista or Winter Park or anywhere in the world and they are unable to join us in person, or if you yourself need to step away later this week, you can find our games online on the VSN app or on varsitysportsnetwork.org. And we welcome those of you who have done just that. Welcome to Joe Sterling Gymnasium here at Apopka High School, home of the Blue Darters, as we get underway with Day 3 of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge. My name is Mark Barchi. I am the media director of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge. I'm joined by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief and VSN. We'll be taking you through this game, but we have an early foul. Foul is called against number 33, Alewis Soto. That's his first and the team's first. The basket by Josh Cooper is good. He's at the line shooting for the three-point play.
And a good morning to you, Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School, the site. As Mark just said, this is the Metro vs. Florida Challenge. Day 3, 4 days in total, 7 games each day. In the first game today, Lake Buena Vista representing the Metro Conference with their first possession. Cooper completing the old school 3 and crashing at boards are both teams. No dice off the board, scramble underneath, and so Trinity Prep with an opportunity to take a 5-0 lead, 2 possession in the early going.
So, of course, this is game number 15. We did 7 of these on Tuesday at Lake Highland Prep, and then we did 7 more on Wednesday here at Apopka as we get a basket by number 0, Josh Cooper. So Cooper has all 5 points for the Saints so far.
Yes, in 5-0 lead. So as good a start as one team can hope for, Trinity Prep, the Saints. Of course, Trinity.
Good pass, but an equally good block there by Maben Hatchett. And LBV picks up their own rebound. They'll get another chance here. This is, of course, the school's 2nd year.
Yes, and
2 expansion schools opened last year in Orange County. Lake Buena Vista was one of them as we get a jump shot from Sam Gilles to put the Vipers on the board.
So the Vipers, Lake Buena Vista, as Mark just mentioned, 2nd year. That's Gerald Scott. He's been their coach both years. Last year, as you would expect, 2-22. As the ball is launched and drained.
3 for Adrian Quiros. So, yes, there were 2 expansion schools last year. Horizon was one of them, and Lake Buena Vista was the other. And we're expecting that we're going to get another expansion school either next year or the following year coming up in the southeast part of Orange County as this county just continues to grow. And as the county grows and the number of high schools grow, that means the number of Orlando Metro Conference teams grow, and that means the size of this event grows.
Yeah, and so looking at Trinity Prep, Eric Schneider, their coach, in his first year at the helm, Class 3A District 6, a 14-12 record last year, 2-1 in this event. And forgot to mention this about Lake Buena Vista. They're in Class 5A District 7. Again, as you would expect, a rough season, a long season in their first season, 2-22. So certainly looking to improve and lots of room to do so. Score the deuce, +1 for Soto, the spin.
Foul is called against number 24, Maben Hatchett. That's his first, the team's first. The basket scored by Alewis Soto is good. He's at the line shooting for the 3-point play.
So a big play for Lake Buena Vista, opportunity to cut that lead to 1, gain some momentum, and establish a blueprint. And won't get that tray to fall. Kicks off the heel, doing the finger work and grabbing the rebound is Maben Hatchett as Trinity Prep gets that ball out quickly. No dice on the shots. Grabbing that rebound, and off the other end is Joseph. So Lake Buena Vista will set up with the opportunity to take the lead. They will not, at least not on that shot. Great Windex work, grabbing the rebound, and no reset. That's De La Nuez playing one-on-one with Joseph. Joseph guarded one-on-one with David Hall. So Sayers down low, the stop-and-go move, and a finger roll. 7-6, Lake Buena Vista.
DeJon Sayers adds 2 more for LBV. So after starting on a 5-0 deficit, the Vipers now within striking distance. They've closed it to a 1-possession ball game. And there we go. It's Josh Cooper on the Saints layup. Put a little more space between the Saints and the Vipers. 10-6 to go as we approach the midpoint of the first quarter here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium.
And Trinity Prep representing the Florida contingency as that ball was swiped away. The shot coming off the hand of Sayers has led throughout this game, scoring on the first possession. So Trinity Prep looking to up that lead. Good defense, though. The quick hand and picking up the loose ball in the corner is De La Nuez, and we get a timeout.
Full timeout is called by the Vipers. We'll be back from Joe Sterling Gymnasium in just a moment.
And welcome back to Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School, the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Trinity Prep representing the Florida contingency with a 10-6 lead over Lake Buena Vista representing the Metro Conference. Lake Buena Vista with the ball, the long range, no dice, and it'll be out of bounds. Possession remains with LBV. So if you're new to this event, 22 schools in the Metro Conference, every game 28 in total over 4 days. One of the members takes on a non-member known as the Florida Contingency, and we total up the amount of victories for each side at the end of the contest. The Metro Conference with an 8-6 lead has popping out as Sayers won't get the ball to drop, and Trinity Prep with the opportunity to get a 3-possession lead. Stop, pop, no drop at the key. Hall, a lot of hands on there, but nobody able to corral the ball, and possession will remain with Trinity Prep. I'm Neil Fisher, along with Mark Barchi, who's also our public address announcer, head of the media department for this great event, which has grown in 12 years. And I also want to mention quickly, as the foul is committed, dedicated to Earl Graham.
Foul's called against number 2, Rennie Santana. That's his first, the team's second, and it sends Adrian Quiros to the line, shooting 2 for Trinity Prep.
Coach Graham, longtime coach in the Central Florida area, worked with thousands of young men and women, and as mentioned, dedicated in his memory. We'll talk more about him later in today's game. In the meantime, the 10-6 lead for Trinity Prep make that 11-6 as Adrian Quiros scores his first points of the game, giving Trinity Prep that 11-6 lead.
Checking in for the Vipers, number 22, Dev DeVedia.
And make that 2 for 2, 12-6. Trinity Prep has led throughout this game. Scoring on its first possession, Lake Buena Vista. Opportunity, not able to draw the quick outlet pass to Williams, and they'll go to work, slowing that pace down as far as the shot. There's a shot they like, and nothing but net for Quiros.
3 for Adrian Quiros.
Tickles the twine, 16-6 lead now for Trinity Prep. And Lake Buena Vista needs to get some consistency in terms of scoring points. They've gotten some shots, but they're not dropping, certainly not as many as they like. Don't want it to get more than about 10 or 12 points. And there's an example, seen that throughout the game, just not able to get their footing down in a good shot. At the other end, they commit the foul. Nope,
that's doing a travel. Josh
So
Cooper's called for traveling, a Vipers ball.
So good defense for Lake Buena Vista. Give them credit there. As I mentioned, they're on that verge. They need to come up with a couple of stops and a couple of baskets, some points here, or they're going to be looking at a 15, 16-point deficit before the end of the first quarter. And that'll certainly help as splash from DeVedia.
3 for Dev DeVedia from Fabian Joseph.
So, Mark, I guess they were listening to me. They dropped that tray, cuts the lead to 16-9. Trinity Prep back to work. They'll try to answer with the tray, and they do.
3 for the Saints, Adrian Quiros.
So trading threes, when all said and done, we're still a 10-point deficit for Lake Buena Vista against Trinity Prep. Lake Buena Vista with the ball. They swing it down low. Baseline attack, and the whack and the foul.
Foul's called against number 10, Adrian Quiros. That's his first personal foul. The team's second, and that will send Samuel Gilles to the line, shooting 2.
So Gilles at the line. 16-9 deficit being faced by Lake Buena Vista. So again, Lake Buena Vista in only its second year. 2-22 last year, as you expect for an expansion team. Gilles, the 6'2" senior guard, averaged 12.2 points last season. And he gets one of two to cut the lead to 18-11. And minute 40 remaining. Good defense. Hand gets up there by Gilles. He'll lead the attack at the other end. The scoop shot does not drop, but draws the foul. Great aggressiveness.
Foul called against number 22, David Hull, his first, the team's third. Samuel Gilles back to the line, shooting two more.
So Gilles back at the line. Opportunity to cut that lead a little bit more after a couple of good defensive stands. And those are points that Coach Scott, that's why turns coach's hair gray. Easy points left on the table. Gilles, a 47% free throw shooter last year, and certainly continues to struggle, at least in this first game of the 2022 season. And score remains 18-11 as Trinity Prep see if they can take advantage of those two missed free throws. No, slides off that rim. Doing the Windex work is Estefany. De La Nuez with the rebound. And a little too tall for him, over and back.
Backcourt violation, Saints ball.
1:02 remaining in the first quarter. And an 18-11 for Trinity Prep in the blue uniforms. They've led since the beginning, leading by as many as 6. Actually, this is their largest lead now at 7.
30-second timeout requested by the Saints.
And we'll come back with the conclusion of this first quarter. This is the 2022 Earl Graham Metro vs. Florida Challenge Varsity Sports Network. 1:40 remaining in this first game. It's the third day, 2022 Metro vs. Florida Challenge. Trinity Prep, who just shots the ball, 18-11 lead over Lake Buena Vista. That's Lake Buena Vista now at the other end.
Transition
bouncing.
Opportunity goes to the wayside thanks to some good defensive work by Quiros.
Yeah, in Lake Buena Vista, again, trailing by 7. They had an opportunity to cut into that lead. One of only 4 free throws. Connected by Samuel Gilles, and then a turnover, and there's a missed shot. So another opportunity, 4 consecutive possessions, unable to cut into that lead, and at the other end, it'll actually be a turnover. So Lake Buena Vista, although not able to score on and cut into that lead with the opportunities, they are at least holding tight, keeping that lead at 7. 3 possessions as we approach the end of the first quarter. 15 seconds now. And yes, we do know that that's not what the clock on your screen shows. Please bear with us on that. From time to time, our clocks do get out of sync. As Lake Buena Vista looks to cut into that lead. 8 seconds remaining. 5 seconds now as they go to the corner. Got to get a shot off. Not sure they know that there's not much time left, and they do get the shot off, but certainly not what they would have liked, even though number 23, Joseph, was open. He was off balance.
That takes us to the end of the first quarter. It's a 7-point ball game. Trinity Prep leads Lake Buena Vista 18-11 at the end of 8 minutes. Back with more from Joey Sterling Gymnasium after a quick break.
Second quarter about to begin, the 2022 Metro vs. Florida Challenge. Game number 15 for 28 in total, 4 days. This is the third, and Lake Buena Vista representing the Metro Conference trailing. That was them taking a shot, 18-11 score. Trinity Prep has led from the first possession. Your leading scorer is Adrian Quiros with 11. In 1 quarter alone, so certainly he's on track for a 20-plus game. And speaking of Quiros,
3 for Adrian Quiros to open up second quarter scoring.
So Quiros continues his strong shooting as we enter the second quarter. 21-11 lead now. I'm Neil Fisher. Mark Barchi is the other voice you hear. Thank you for joining us on the Varsity Sports Network. We hope you enjoy your time with us, spending part of your holiday week with us. Hope everybody, and offer best wishes that everybody had a great holiday. In the meantime, the battle rages on between the Metro and the Florida contingency. Lake Buena Vista slides off the rim, out of bounds. A lot of action between Davidia and Quieros. Nobody grabs the ball, though. When it's all said and done, it'll be Trinity Prep's possession. So they now, with the 10-point lead, can take their largest of the game. The 10 points is actually the largest, but they can get an even larger lead here. Swing that ball up to the top. Another tray. This clanks off the back of the rim. Doing Windex work is Coop. Is Meg.
Second chance three for Adrian Quiros. 17 for him now. More than half of that total coming from perimeter shooting.
Yeah, the 6-foot junior guard. And Lake Buena Vista trying to answer. There's an air ball. That was Santana, who came in during the break. They'll take another tray, and this time, the splash.
Three for Dev Develia.
So far, this game has been controlled.
Jump shot from the top of the key by Tamarius Williams.
This game has been controlled by Trinity Prep, and Lake Buena Vista able to get a few points here and there just when they need them, just when they need to slow down that Trinity Prep momentum.
And until they get a Quiros steal. Now we're going the other way. Nearly got away from them.
Great effort by Williams, but unfortunately, effort in itself not enough. Unable to stay in bounds. And so 5:50 remaining. 26-14 lead for Trinity Prep. Lake Buena Vista will take possession.
Now that's why those transition plays are so high risk, high reward. You have an opportunity there to make something happen before the defense can get set, but you move too fast and the ball gets away from you as well.
So Trinity Prep returning 5 players from last season. Coach Schneider, again, in his first year, describes his team as having a strong young core, along with 4 seniors. And certainly, they look like a team that has some good leadership here in the early going. This is the first game. Most of these teams this week will be playing their first regular season game. And certainly all the games up to this point have looked that way, including this one. Seen some good play, some questionable play, I guess to put it nicely.
Well, it is the very first game of the regular season. Most of these teams participated in a preseason contest last week. This, for the vast majority of the teams playing this week, will be their first game that actually counts on the record. And that is one of the unique double-edged swords of hosting a major event like this in week number 1 of the season. Is it's an early test. These are usually difficult contests. I know Scott Williams, who organizes this event, puts a lot of thought as we get a basket by Samuel Gilles. Scott Williams, who organizes this event, puts a lot of thought and consideration into the matchups, trying to make the games competitive, games that are going to make these teams better, games that are going to make it worth their time to come here and spend their Thanksgiving break with us.
As a foul is called.
Foul is called against Vipers number 2, Remy Santana. His second, the team's third. And so, of course, we end up with these, as you mentioned earlier, Neil, this kind of ACC-like event where...
Yeah, this event is based on the ACC, Big Ten, and the SEC versus Big 12 challenge.
Right, so the home team in each event is going to be one of your Orlando Metro Conference schools. The visiting team in each contest will be either a private school from Orange County or a public or private school from one of the surrounding counties. Some very high-quality programs participating in this contest. And like I said, it's an early test for coaches to kind of get a bearing on where you are. Some of these programs were hit hard by graduation. Lake Buena Vista, obviously not, since they had no seniors last year.
Lake Buena Vista, a second-year school.
And that is a standard for Orange County as we get a
And
basket and a
there's the
chance to
basket.
make it a three-point play for DeJon Sayers.
And there's an example, as I mentioned. We've had some strong play and some not so strong play.
Foul called against number 0, Josh Cooper, his first, the team's fourth.
Sayers spinning along that baseline and posting up, going shoulder to shoulder, drawing the contact. So that's the fourth team foul on Trinity Prep, as Mark just called, doing Windex work. Is Samuel Gilles. Doing more Windex work is Sayers, the guy who just shot the free throw. He'll go back to the line.
Foul called against David Hall, number 22. That's his second, the team's fifth. And DeJon Sayers returns to the line.
So Sayers certainly looking strong on the boards here in the early going. Certainly this is an opportunity that Lake Buena Vista needs to cut into that lead. Trinity Prep has led since the beginning, scoring on their first possession. Largest lead of 12. Lake Buena Vista so far doing a good job of keeping it under double digits.
Two-possession game here as we get a cut to the inside, and it's a steal by Sayers going the other way, trying to make something transition happen himself. Not there. Rebound not there either. Second putback still no good. And now coming the other direction, we got a strip by Sayers. Now we're going to go transition the other way, and it's overshot as Sayers tries to get it to Gilles. And we talk about those high-risk, high-reward plays, particularly this early in the season when you just haven't developed the muscle memory to be able to do those long-distance, as you like to say, Neil, those baseball passes.
Yeah, in that last series of possessions, a couple for each team, there you see the not-so-strong play reminiscent of the first game of the regular season, and that's going to continue. Trinity Prep keeping possession, though. So a 26-20 score. Lead now down to 6. It's been quite some time since it's been to 2 possession. Trinity Prep certainly would do them good to get a basket here, regain some momentum, get that lead back up to at least 8. Lake Buena Vista's defense has certainly stiffened, and nothing there in terms of the defense. That was just a dope moment for Trinity Prep.
Yeah, Hull tried to connect with Hatch and zigged when he should have zagged, and it's a turnover to the Vipers. They have an opportunity to close that 6-point gap a little bit here.
3.5 minutes, second quarter, 26-20 lead for Trinity Prep. They have led throughout, representing the Florida contingency. Back to the corner now with Gilles. He'll drop it down into the corner. Joseph back up top to De La Nuez. And Sayers back to De La Nuez, who won the two-man game. Now they get Joseph involved. He can't connect, but doing Windex work is Sayers. And now he does some defensive work, setting up his team down low. And what should have been an easy shot for Joseph does not work out that way. Coach Scott thought there was a foul, but really Joseph hesitated for about half a second, and then the Trinity Prep defense closed in.
Yeah, you got to give the Vipers credit for crashing the boards. They're certainly getting it done on offensive rebounds and even continuing to go after it after the rebound fails, but they just haven't been able to convert. And now they're going to get the ball deflected out of bounds here by Demarius Williams, who harasses the Vipers after they pick up the defensive board. 2.5 to go here in the second quarter. This is game 15
of 28. The 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge. The Metro Conference made up of all the public high schools in Orange County. They have grown by about, I'd say, 33% in the last 12 years or so, and about 50% in the last 20 years.
Well, I
starting
remember
in about 2000.
When Wekiva opened in 2007, which is the school where you and I do most of our announcing, there have now been, I think, 3 schools that have opened since then. And another one is poised to open by 2025, if not sooner. And here we're going to get a transition layup from Samuel Gilles.
So now the 26-22 score, so certainly Lake Buena Vista make that 26-25.
For Fabian Joseph, and we'll pause for a timeout as the Vipers have cut the Saints lead to 1. The Saints will request a full timeout. Back with more from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium with just under 2 minutes remaining in the second quarter here in Game 15 of the 12th Annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge.
In Lake Buena Vista, here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. An 11-0 run. They've cut the lead held by Trinity Prep to 26-25. Coach Schneider, the Trinity Prep coach, in his first year calling a timeout, trying to get his troops regrouped with 2 minutes remaining before halftime. First game of 7 today in the Metro versus Florida Challenge dedicated to Earl Graham. And now Lake Buena Vista with an opportunity to take its first lead of the game.
I don't know what Coach Schneider told him to do during the timeout, but I don't think that was it.
Yeah, and we've seen now 3 unforced errors in the last minute and a half by Trinity Prep. Trinity Prep scoring on its first possession and holding as much as a 12-point lead. The slash, the dash, no dice though from Joseph. Great move, but couldn't quite get the ball to drop. Off angle, taking a backward shot, and now Trinity Prep, after avoiding the bullet, they're going to go back to work. The scoop shot and the deuce. Nicely done for Quiros, 19 points.
Quiros picks up his 19th point of the game.
So Quiros, the high man for both these teams, and just when Trinity Prep needed his scoring touch, they get it, but just as quickly.
3 for Leonardo De La Nuez.
So De La Nuez, as sweet as could be, off the shot, the release, and now Lake Buena Vista representing the Metro Conference. They certainly, as we mentioned before the break, have picked up the defensive intensity, and that might have something to do with those unforced errors. That was not unforced. That was good defense. Someone got a hand in there. Stop, pop, no drop for Davidia, clearing the rebound. Trinity Prep going to the rack, and so they now have an opportunity to retake the lead. The slice in the dice from Quiros to no avail, and when all said and done, ball goes out of bounds. It'll be Lake Buena Vista's possession. So, seen quite a bit of action the last 5 or 6 possessions. 24 seconds remaining, and when all said and done, Lake Buena Vista with an opportunity to not only take its first lead of the game, but go into the break with that lead, and they will not get the lead. Boy, that ball just rolled off, would not go down. Going to the rack is Cooper. And speaking of the rack, the slash dash in the bank.
David Hull gets what will be the last word of the second period, and it's going to be just a 2-point lead for the Saints as the Vipers come back and avoid the runaway and close it to, they had it tied for a moment, but it'll be a 2-point lead for the Saints going into the locker room here in game number 15 of the 12th Annual Earl Graham Metro vs. Florida Challenge, presented by St. Germain Chiropractic and Burn Fat Orlando. We're going to let these teams take a quick break. We're going to take a break with them back in 10 minutes here from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium. The Vipers have the opening possession of the third period. Welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium. This is Mark Barchi, the media director for the Metro vs. Florida Challenge, joined by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief and Varsity Sports Network to take you through the second half of Game 15, where for a moment it looked like it might be a Trinity Prep runaway, and then all of a sudden Lake Buena Vista got their heads back in the game. They actually had it back to a tie at 28 all, and then TPS hit one more going into the locker room to give them that 2-point edge. Coming back.
Yeah, TPS, as you see on the left side of your screen on the bug, with a 12-point lead, as Mark just mentioned. About midway through the second quarter, they scored the first points of the game and had led throughout up to that midway point, and then Lake Buena Vista ripped off an 11-0 run to challenge them. And now we begin the second half. Lake Buena Vista with the opportunity to tie this game again or take the lead. Your leading scorers as Lake Buena Vista continues to crash that board. No dice on the on the putback. So your leading scorers, by far, Adrian Quieros. He has 19 in total for Trinity Prep. And then Samuel Giles with 8 for Lake Buena Vista. And Trinity Prep with the turnover.
No basket, traveling Vipers ball. Yeah, certainly in the first half, Trinity Prep seemed to really favor the perimeter shooting. Didn't see them really pound the paint very much. The Vipers very much did. Now, unfortunately, it didn't do as much for the Vipers as it could have because their shooting percentage was not particularly outstanding.
And speaking of that,
Fabian Joseph puts the Vipers on the board for the second half.
So we're tied at 30 all. Second tie, as Mark mentioned, the first one coming towards the end of the first half. A hot potato. Now Trinity Prep comes away with it.
No,
a third consecutive turnover.
Swiped out by Leonardo De La Nuez, who got under Hatchet there. And a layup under the basket. Again, the Vipers with just all these missed opportunities between their ability to do the inside shooting that Trinity Prep has not and their offensive rebounding where they've been superior the whole game. You'd think they should be ahead.
And Trinity Prep takes advantage, the splash.
David Hull adds 2 for the Saints. But yeah, you'd think they should be 10 or 12 points ahead by now, but the shooting percentage has just not been there for them. Again, early season jitters. Muscle memory just not quite there yet as we get a foul called against Saints number 3, Demarius Williams, his first, team's first of the second half.
Yeah, and I would also say Trinity Prep, they have been very they've taken advantage of fortuitous opportunities and situations. Lake Buena Vista with some opportunities, not just in terms of the score, but just to get some momentum, to maybe get some establishment of their game over Trinity Prep, and they've let them go by the wayside, and Trinity Prep has come back and buried a couple of deuces.
Team control foul is called against number 22, Dev DeVenia. That's his first, the team's first of this half. And we've got a Viper down over on the sideline. That is DeJon Sayers, who is
laying on his back. And so there was another opportunity as we take a few minutes here for the medical staff to attend to DeVidia. But Lake Buena Vista could have tied that ball game up. They had a halfway decent look. Again, it wasn't great, wasn't open, but they had the ball moving towards the basket. You're leaning and you're shouldering up. Your shoulders are squared to the backboard, which is how you want to shoot the ball, and they just could not get the ball to drop. Trinity Prep gets the rebound. They come back the other way and bury the tray, and now they have a 2-point lead, and that was actually a 2-point basket, not a 3-point basket. But the point is you go from an opportunity, if you're Lake Buena Vista, to take your lead, which of course when you get that lead for the first time, you're building momentum and you're feeling good about yourself, getting some confidence, and instead you're now behind just that quickly.
Yeah, well, and of course this will give everybody a chance to breathe here as we let our athletic training team tend to DeJon Sayers.
So, of course, we don't want to come on and state what the problem is, but we can see from over here it does look like it's a lower body issue. The training staff as well as Coach Scott out there, and they are looking at the legs. Again, we don't know exactly what's wrong.
Meanwhile, though, this is the first of 7 games that'll happen here at Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium today. Coming up next, we'll have the other new entry to Orange County Public Schools, Horizon, also going into their second season. They'll be taking on the Lake Wales Highlanders down from Polk County. Later on today, we'll have University versus Auburndale, Windermere versus Windermere Prep in a game that both of them are going to travel all the way to Apopka to play schools that are about half a mile away from each other. As we get, that is number 45, DeJon Sayers, shaken up on the play, making his way off with the assistance of our training teams. Coming in to replace him will be number 33, Alewis Soto.
Yeah, and Horizon coming off a 9-16 record, which is very respectable for a first-year school. And certainly, as we've mentioned throughout this game, Lake Buena Vista, the other second-year school, they only went 2-22.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Orange County Public Schools, their policy is when a new school opens, they do not move seniors from whatever high school is being relieved. And so that means, from an athletic program perspective, you start your first season with 0 seniors.
No dice for Trinity Prep. And Lake Buena Vista with another opportunity to tie this game or take the lead. And then Lake Wales, of course, the other school playing next, an uncharacteristic 6-19 season for them. They have won state championship, and so, of course, they always have expectations of a deep run. And now Lake Buena Vista turns the ball over.
Yeah, blind pass there to Williams was ill-conceived.
And possession will remain. So we've seen pretty much in the last 2 minutes of the first half and now about 2.5 minutes into the second half, hot potato being played by both these teams. Neither team really able to hold on to the ball. On the other hand, neither team able to take advantage and score points off those turnovers either. A 30-28 lead for Trinity Prep at halftime. And both teams scoring only 2 points in this third quarter. As we get back to live action, 6 teams from the Metro Conference and 1 from the Florida contingency playing 2 games in this 28-game extravaganza. Now is the defense clamping down on Trinity Prep. Nowhere to go in the middle. The baseline drive swatted away. Gilles so picks up his own rebound, and Trinity Prep a reset.
Nice work by Soto getting in there.
Hall thinking about taking the shot. He won't. Trinity Prep. So now Trinity Prep back to work. And also want to point out on the defensive end, Gilles had 15 points through the first quarter and a half. He scored only 7 points since then. So Gilles, the breaks being maybe not completely stopped.
Hit is called against Alewis Soto. That's his second personal foul, the team's second of this half.
But certainly Lake Buena Vista's defense has slowed Gilles down. Speaking of which, there's an example of having to get rid of that ball, and just Soto smacking it right back into Trinity Prep's face, pick up the loose ball.
Yeah, I don't know that the pass to Cooper was the right answer there.
And that ball does not drop.
There's another layup that should have gone.
Joseph with the layup attempt. Back the other way we go with Trinity Prep. Cooper, who's not said much in this game, and he still doesn't, as Lake Buena Vista forces a turnover. So for the Metro Conference, playing 2 games in this event, of course, Apopka, the whole school, always does. Lake Buena Vista is actually one of those schools that's playing a couple. They played on Tuesday at Lake Highland, Windermere, Winter Park, Dr. Phillips, and Lake Nona. Also doing double duty, and then Seminole doing double duty for the Florida contingency. As our score remains 32-30.
Yeah, you can see there that David Hull was on the line when he rebounded that. And so that'll go as an out-of-bounds rebound. It stays with the Vipers.
And mentioned throughout this event that the central concept of this tournament, Scott Williams coming up with it, aside from providing Apopka with a signature event, is to showcase the quality of talent in Central Florida, a.k.a. the Metro Conference. As we see a right move, and then the errant pass. So Trinity Prep getting their hands on the ball last, so it'll go back to LBV. And now Joseph with the arc and splash!
3 for Fabian Joseph.
And guess what, Mark? Lake Buena Vista, despite their trials and tribulations, have their first lead of the game. And now an opportunity to increase that lead. The Metro Conference with an 8-4 lead heading into today, 8-6 lead.
There's that blind pass. That's one of those tricks that you'll get better at over the course of the season. Leonardo De La Nuez trying to connect there with Samuel Gilles with the deception there. You look one direction and then pass the ball the other direction to try to throw off the defense. It's a classic move that any elite team needs to master, but in that case, the problem is if you're not looking at your guy and you don't know exactly where he is, and you just send the ball off into the hallway outside.
LBV with the 33-32 lead, 3:15 third quarter. And as we mentioned throughout this game, LBV has just not been consistent on offense, but their defense since about 4 minutes in the second quarter has been money. It's been solid, and that has propelled them into the lead. They trailed by 12 points.
And now DeJon Sayers returns to the game, so it's good to see him back and healthy. So whatever the issue was proves to be temporary, maybe some cramping. It's one of the challenges of playing at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Trinity Prep That opportunity goes by the wayside. Great anticipation by Gilles, but he can't drop the deuce at the other end.
That's another one where a simpler layup would have probably been more effective there and guaranteed you your 2 points on the board.
And a timeout called by Coach Scott after that missed opportunity, but give LBV credit. They crashed the boards. They retained possession with the 1 point lead.
30-second timeout requested by and granted to the Vipers. Back in a moment from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium.
Back to live action, 33-32 lead for Lake Buena Vista, representing the Metro Conference against Trinity Prep, representing the Florida contingency. And Lake Buena Vista, despite several missed opportunities, bad shooting, are in the lead, and they extend it to turn in the bank for Joseph.
Fabian Joseph picks up 2 on the layup. Nice spin move there. Now we go the other direction.
So a 12-point lead for Trinity Prep has turned into a 3-point deficit as we approach the end of the third quarter. First of 7 games today from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium, Popka High School.
Pick up there by Leonardo De La Nuez, and the steal goes to the Vipers. So really, Lake Buena Vista showing just superior ball handling here in the late second and now early third quarter, but now they will make a mistake of their own as Dev DeVedia gets called for traveling Saints ball.
And Trinity Prep obviously giving up the 12-point lead midway through that second quarter. The run started for Lake Buena Vista. But Trinity Prep obviously is not putting points on the board, but they've gone about 3 minutes now, and that breaks just as easily.
3 for Adrian Quiros. He was cold for a while, but he seems to have heated up again. 22 points for him so far today. Many of those coming from behind the arc as we pass the minute-and-a-half mark here in the third quarter, and we're going to get some contact.
So 35 all, 1:36 remaining, third quarter.
David Hall is calling the push, his third personal foul, the team's second of this half. And Alewis Soto back into the game for the Vipers.
Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi, the other voice. Of course, Mark also our public address announcer. Thank you for joining us on this day after Thanksgiving as the quick shot rattled in and out, doing the Windex work and drawing the foul on the attempted putback is Soto. He'll go to the line to try to break this 35-all tie.
Foul called against Josh Cooper, his second, the team's third, and that will put Alewis Soto at the line, shooting 2.
So Lake Buena Vista, a second-year school, and as you would expect, a very long and rough first season, winning only 2 games. So certainly an opportunity for them to go up, increase that record. And if they win here today, they will win half of their total last year.
Foul called against Vipers number 23, Fabian Joseph. That's his first personal foul, the team's third.
A 36-35 lead as Soto makes one of the 2 free throws for Lake Buena Vista. And Kieras goes back to work, showing that form. The scoop shot in the foul.
Adrian Quiros and 1. Foul called against Vipers number 11, Leonardo De La Nuez. That's his first, the team's fourth.
So Kieras drives that lane. Not only drops the bucket, but draws the contact and goes to the line. 24 points now for the 6-foot junior guard. And I mentioned it throughout this game. Kieras has not only scored points, not only bulk scoring, but he's gotten the points at critical times in terms of the feel and direction, putting it back in Trinity Prep's favor, and he gets the roll, iron kind, on the free throw. And so a 38-36 lead, Trinity Prep back in the lead. Trinity Prep has as much as a 12-point lead. Lake Buena Vista ripped off an 11-0 run during the last 4 minutes or so of the second quarter to go into halftime down by only 2 points. They took their first lead about a minute and a half ago, and now Trinity Prep answering on that old school three-point play by Kieras. 50 seconds remaining. Lake Buena Vista looking to retake the lead, or at least tie, and they'll have the opportunity at the line as the drive results in the foul.
Foul called against Saints number 1. Jake Mail, his first, the team's fourth. That will send the Vipers to the free throw line. This is number 3, Josiah McNair, shooting 2.
So McNair, we have not called out his name very often today, but he's the man at the line now, charged with tying this game up. So this is the 2022 Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. Neither shot drops for McNair, and we've talked about it throughout this whole game. Opportunities for Lake Buena Vista. If you capitalize on just a third of them, they are in the lead, and in the lead by at least a couple possessions. Instead, nope, ball does not drop. Looked like it was going to go in for a second. Claiming that rebound was Sayers.
I don't have rebounds in front of me, but I know that DeJon Sayers is probably a team leader for them.
Now Joseph resets at the top, extended left, one-on-one with Ingram. 13 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 2-point lead for Trinity Prep, so Lake Buena Vista looking to tie heading into the fourth. And before the drive heats up, the whistle. And Coach Scott disagrees.
5 seconds under guard. Saints ball.
So there's another example. They just keep mounting. I'd say we've seen at least 20 of them. Of course, we're not actually keeping stats, but the eye test. Mistakes by Lake Buena Vista at critical times in terms of momentum and direction and feel of this game. As we mentioned, opportunity to go into the fourth quarter tied, and just as quickly, Trinity Prep returns the favor, as you like to say, Mark.
You saw the desperation on David Hull's face as Demarius Williams did not go where he thought he was going to go.
So all said and done, it's Lake Buena Vista with 2 seconds who will get the last opportunity to score, and that's not going to happen. Great defense again as Jake Mayo gets his hand in the way. And so when all said and done, we're exactly where we were at the beginning of this period in terms of the deficit.
That takes us to the end of the third quarter, and it is a 4-point game, 38-34. The Saints lead the Vipers going into the final 8 minutes here in game 15. 38-36 is the score as we go into the final 8 minutes of game 15 here at the 12th annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge.
And welcome back to Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School, the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge, dedicated to Earl Graham. The first of 7 games today, 28 in total over 4 games. A 38-36 lead held by Trinity Prep, representing the Florida contingency over Lake Buena Vista of the Metro Conference. I'm Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi, the other voice you are hearing.
The Vipers have the opening possession of the fourth quarter.
And so Lake Buena Vista with another opportunity to tie the game or take the lead. They go down low along that baseline to Soto. He can't get that ball to drop. And we talked about throughout the game a number of mistakes, not just tangible mistakes, turnovers and missed field goals, but just mental mistakes as the ball does not drop from the corner, but doing the Windex work, a drive, and dropping in the deuces, Cooper.
Put back by Josh Cooper.
Lake Buena Vista at critical times have made those mistakes just when you feel like they're going to do something to swing the momentum, the direction and the feel of the game. And underneath, drop in the deuce for Samuel Gilles.
Sam Gilles adds 2.
So 40-38, both teams beginning this quarter with a basket on their first possession. So the Metro versus Florida Challenge, the basic concept is in each of these games, again, 28 in total. The Metro Conference member, the scoop shot, no dice, rims off that rim and cleared by Soto down at the other end after a long baseball pass. A couple of opportunities, just cannot get that bank to fall. A member of the Metro Conference takes on a non-member in each of these games. Splash from Ingram. Ingram.
Three for Garland Ingram.
And at the end of the 28 games, we total up which side, Metro or Florida. That's the non-members have the most victories. The Metro Conference an 8-6 lead heading into day 3. And every member of the Metro Conference is located in Orange County in a public high school. Splash!
Three answer from Fabian Joseph.
So number 23, Joseph, continues. He's one of those guys, there's 3 of them, who keep answering when Lake Buena Vista needs points. In the meantime, the right move from Ingram on that left side, clearing the rebound, doing the Windex work is Gilles. He makes that quick pass, and Trinity Prep getting a hand in the way. 43-41, Trinity Prep with the lead. They scored on the very first possession of the game, built the lead to as many as 12 roughly midway through the second half. And Lake Buena Vista, again, the second-year school, making yet another mistake. The foul on Joseph, as you just heard Mark Barchi, our public address announcer, and my on-air talent partner. A 12-0 run by Lake Buena Vista cut the lead all the way down to 1. Traded baskets, and they went into halftime Trinity Prep with a 2-point lead, and that's where we are now, 5.5 remaining. Only 2 lead changes as Cooper slashes and makes the withdrawal from the bank.
Josh Cooper for 2. 11 points for him now as he breaks into double figures.
So Trinity Prep scored 5 consecutive points, actually 4 consecutive points, and that's been your difference now. 1 more basket by Trinity Prep has upped the lead from 2 to 4 points. Has kept the lead between 2 and 4 points.
Devzavedia back in for LBV. So this game has been full of early season jitters on both sides of the ball, but it looks like we may have a photo finish here as we get a layup from David Hull. 6 points for him so far this morning. Well, now this afternoon. Vipers back in control, under 5 minutes to go in the ball game. Looking for options in the paint, nothing there. Will go out to the corner. The tray does not fall for Sayers, and an easy layup for David Hall.
47-41 lead now, 6 points largest of the game. Make that 8 as Cooper makes the withdrawal.
Cooper down the baseline for 2, and we'll pause for a Viper timeout. Full timeout called by Lake Buena Vista.
So a 6-0 run has... And back to live action, 4:29 remaining. The Trinity Prep Saints holding a 49-41 lead over the Lake Buena Vista Vipers. Trinity Prep representing the Florida contingency, LBV representing the Metro Conference. A 6-0 run, just keyed by Josh Cooper's drive through the lane and bank. And so LBV has some work to do. And they will keep possession. About a minute 15 left in the third quarter. Adrian Quieros drained a tray to put Trinity Prep in the lead. They've held the lead since then. And again, a 6-0 run right before the timeout. And this will get the lead back down to 4. Score the withdrawal. And now the battle rages on. De La Nuez hitting the deck. Great play in the timeout. So a turnover for Trinity Prep. Opportunity for Lake Buena Vista to cut into that lead again. 49-43, a 6-point deficit.
30-second timeout requested by the Vipers. 49-43 lead. Trinity Prep holding that lead.
over the Lake Buena Vista High School. It's the first of 7 games, the Metro versus Florida Challenge, dedicated to Earl Graham. And Lake Buena Vista with possession. It's a spin by De La Nuez, and the soft floater doesn't drop the deuce, but will go to the line after the contact.
Foul called against Vipers number 10, Shadrach Stephanie. That is his second, the team's fifth. At the line, shooting will be number 11, Leonardo De La Nuez.
So Trinity Prep took a 12-point lead midway through the second quarter. A 12-0 run by Lake Buena Vista, as the lead now 49-44, rattled off by Lake Buena Vista. And when all was said and done, a 2-point lead for Trinity Prep at halftime. And since then, it's been pretty much back and forth in terms of scoring as Cooper clears the rebound. The Windex work, the withdrawal from the bank, and a quick timeout from Coach Schneider, the Saints coach.
Full timeout requested by Trinity Prep.
And so Trinity Prep continues to take advantage of the miscues, many of them subtle by Lake Buena Vista. Only 1 of 2 free throws, and at the other end they get the deuce, so that further increases the lead. Again, very subtle differences, but what was a 6-point lead is now a 7-point lead after the exchange of messages. This is the Varsity Sports Network. Welcome back to Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium. 3:24 remaining in the first of 7 games. A 51-44 lead being held by the Trinity Prep Saints over the Lake Buena Vista Vipers. And what's been, I would say, certainly an interesting game. It's not always been entertaining. We've had some moments of good entertainment. And on the other end, especially in that first half, it looked like Trinity Prep was going to win comfortably as they took a 12-point lead. A 12-0 run, though, tied the game up by Lake Buena Vista. And a 2-point lead by Trinity Prep at halftime. And now I think we might see Lake Buena Vista having to expend some extra energy and focus to create that 12-0 run and get back into the game. And now I think it's catching up to him. That's Gilles, who travels, so maybe not quite yet there in terms of this game being wrapped up by Trinity Prep. Still some more life left by LBV. The drive by Joseph, the high scoop, and he gets whacked. He'll go to the line to cut with an opportunity to cut into that 7-point lead.
Foul called against Saints number 3, Demarius Williams. That's his second personal foul, the team's 6th, and that will send the Vipers to the free throw line, number 21, shooting 2.
And
shooting 23.
Yes, 23, Fabian Joseph. And mentioned it throughout this game, just those subtle mistakes by LBV. It's probably cost him at least a dozen points. Of course, we've also mentioned throughout the game, LBV, a second-year school. And Orange County, when they open up the schools, no seniors, and certainly that was reflected with the 2-22 record. Certainly look a lot better than they did last year, but you can still see that they are a team that is looking to position itself, trying to find its way in its field. This will certainly help if they can drop it, but just that quickly, it goes out of bounds. Samuel Giles unable to get the long pass.
And again, we've seen that happen in both halves to the Vipers, where they've tried to get those high-intensity, high-speed transitions plays, but just not able to get the control.
And midway through this fourth quarter, really, I would say what has put...
Layup by Mabin Hatchett.
What has put Trinity back in control of this game was a 6-0 run, and now they've ripped off another 6-0 run. So Lake Buena Vista is giving it all they got. They've hung around. They were close enough to still be able to win this game. But now with 2 minutes left, it looks like Lake Buena Vista, or Trinity Prep is going to has regained control of this game in terms of the direction and field. Lake Buena Vista, though, still not a victory has been secure. Lake Buena Vista has put in some points when they needed to, just not as many as Trinity Prep. There's a nice sweet pass underneath. Unfortunately for Lake Buena Vista, though, Trinity Prep saw it coming and closed down the gap about 10 feet in front of the basket and get the turnover. So 53-45, an 8-point lead now for Trinity Prep. 1:45 remaining, and taking time off the clock is important as scoring now for Trinity Prep. And that will stop the clock, but certainly Trinity Prep an opportunity to up that lead to many as 10. David Hall will go to the line.
Fouls called against number 33, Alewis Soto. That's his third personal foul, the team's sixth. We got a player down on both sides. It looks like David Hall's going to walk it off. We got a Viper who's going to take a little bit of attention from our athletic training teams.
Yeah, of course, David Hall will be at the free throw line after drawing the foul. Both teams now in the bonus. The rest of the way, 1:38 remaining, a 53-45 lead for Trinity Prep. They represent the Florida contingency, which came in today's action trailing 8-6 in the overall scoreboard. Lake Buena Vista representing the Metro Conference in the white jerseys. This is the 2022 Earl Graham Metro vs. Florida Challenge. I'm Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi. Action taking place on the campus of Apopka High School, Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium. The Metro Conference made up of all the public high schools located in Orange County, taking on a non-member of the Metro Conference in each game. And then at the end of this event, 28 games in total, 4 days, whoever has the most, we total up the victories for each side. Once again, an 8-6 lead for the Metro Conference beginning today's action. 4-4 on the first day. And actually 4-3 in favor of the Florida contingency. Actually, I'm sorry, 4-3 in favor of the Metro Conference on Tuesday, and then 4-3 again on Wednesday.
Samuel Gilles is shaken up on the play. He makes his way off with the assistance of our athletic training teams. And we will get things back underway here in just a moment.
And, of course, Scott Williams, who is the head coach of the Apopka men's basketball team at Apopka, is also the director of the event. He started this event at Wekiva 12 seasons ago, actually 13 seasons ago. The event was not held in 2020, of course, due to the pandemic. His objective was to provide Wekiva with a signature event. At that time, they were in only their third season. And now at Apopka, they have the signature event. But also, as the first free throw drops for David Hall, this is an opportunity. It's a showcase for the quality of basketball, which takes place in Central Florida, Orange County. So a 54-45 lead, a minute and a half left. Lake Buena Vista was fought tooth and nail. Certainly not a lack of effort and resiliency, but they still have some work to do as we get a timeout. With 1:28 exactly remaining in a 54-45 lead for Trinity Prep.
Timeout, Vipers.
The Metro vs. Florida Challenge 2022 edition dedicated to Earl Graham. A 54-45 lead by Trinity Prep over Lake Buena Vista. LBV with the ball. They need to get some points, and they need to get points in a hurry. And certainly they start off by drawing the foul. Both teams will be in bonus rest of the way.
Foul called against number 22, David Hall. That's his fourth personal foul, the team's seventh, and it puts the Vipers into bonus. Leonardo De La Nuez will be shooting 1-1.
A pair of 6-0 runs in the fourth quarter by Trinity Prep is the difference right now. De La Nuez unable to get that ball to drop, kicks off the heel, and Gilles, who's our leading scorer with 25 points. Cooper has 15 to supplement him, now showing his wares on the boards.
Leonardo De La Nuez is called on the push. That's his fourth personal foul.
And so,
his second personal foul, the team's seventh, and that will send the Saints into bonus at the line shooting 1-1, number 10, Adrian Quiros.
Trinity Prep with an opportunity to get the lead back over into double digits. They led for about a quarter and a half, building as much as a 12-point lead in that first half. And no dice. So still Lake Buena Vista with an opportunity to win. Trinity Prep, though, with the 9-point lead. De La Nuez snags that ball loose, blocked, whacked away by Cooper. Again, 15 points, now showing his defensive wear, goes down the other end, and makes the withdrawal.
Josh Cooper.
And an 11-point lead, 1 minute remaining, and now Lake Buena Vista is going to have to pull out the rabbit out of the hat, so to speak. 50 seconds remaining, got to get rid of a shot. Trinity Prep, though not allowing him to. No dice, rolls off the rim. Joseph unable to get it. Doing Windex work and making the withdrawal from the bank is Soto. He'll go to the line.
Fouls called against number 0, Josh Cooper. That's his third.
So certainly a play that LBV needed. Down by double digits, now down by 9. But again, a 9-point lead with less than a minute. And I think that will just about seal the deal in terms of a victory. An 11-point lead, 30 seconds remaining. And that will absolutely, well, not quite. Cooper unable to handle the ball. The quick pass, and now that will do it with 15 seconds remaining. The miss by Soto. So it's been a long game, interesting game, certainly entertaining.
Vipers foul called against number 11, Leonardo De La Nuez. That's his third, the team's 8th. Saints continue into bonus. Back to the free throw line, Adrian Quiros.
Entertaining from the perspective of we've had some good play, some bad play, and you just don't know what you're going to get. Trinity Prep bolted out to a 12-point lead midway through the second quarter. A 12-point run by Lake Buena Vista tied the game, one of only 3 ties. They went into halftime with Trinity Prep scoring the last points in a 2-point lead. It was 38-36, both teams trading points in the third quarter, and then a pair of 6-0 runs by Trinity Prep, keyed by Adrian Gilles and helped out by Josh Cooper. Gilles with 25 points, Cooper with 15. And those 6-0 runs put Trinity Prep ahead for good, and so that will close the overall score, Metro Conference 8-7 over the Florida contingency. Again, your final score 60 for Trinity Prep, Lake Buena Vista 47. And Mark, one more piece of business for this game, the MVP.
That takes us to the end of the ball game. 60-47 the final score as the Saints hold on to take the victory for the Florida contingency here in Game 15 of the 12th annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. We have some hardware to hand out. Coach Earl Graham influenced the lives of thousands of young men over his 40-plus years as a coach in Central Florida. For 15 years, Coach Graham worked as assistant coach alongside Apopka's head coach Scott Williams, the last 7 of which were here at Apopka. The Metro versus Florida Challenge honors the legacy of Coach Graham by awarding our game's most valuable player with a plaque in Earl's name and image. And in this game, it can go to none other than the player who gave the Saints their comfortable start, making it rain from all around the three-point arc and finishing the game with a Hall of Fame level 27 points. It is the 6-foot junior guard, number 10, Adrian Quiros. Don't go anywhere. Much, much more Metro versus Florida Challenge action coming your way right after the warm-up. We've got game number 16 coming up next. And that will be, of course, Horizon, the Hawks, taking on the Lake Wales Highlanders right here from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium in Game 16 of the 12th annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge, presented by St. Germain Chiropractic and Burn Fat Orlando. Keep it right there on Varsity Sports Network. We'll be back in less than 10 minutes with more basketball.